All right, let's get into it. Today, we're staging a heavyweight championship bout in the manufacturing world. In this corner, weighing in as the undisputed global champion, you've got Caterpillar. And in the other corner, the nimble, strategic challenger, Terex. Now, this isn't just about who makes bigger, yellower machines. Oh no. This is a clash of titans, a showdown of pure strategy, efficiency, and bets on the future. Let's break it down. Okay, so here's the deal. Imagine you've got a chunk of cash, and it's decision time. Where do you put it? Do you go with the absolute fortress that is Caterpillar, a company built on a foundation of pure stability and massive scale? Or do you take a chance on Terex, the transformer, a company that's in the middle of a seriously high-risk but maybe high-reward reinvention? That's the question we're going to answer today. And really, this is the perfect way to picture it. Think of Caterpillar as a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. It's gigantic, it's powerful, it even has its own bank on board. It doesn't just enter a market, it projects force across the entire globe. And Terex? Well, they're more like an elite, nimble fighter squadron. They're quick, they adapt, they bolt on new tech, and they change their mission profile to win on a rapidly changing battlefield. Two totally different philosophies for winning the war. First things first, let's follow the money. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? We're going to peel back the shiny paint and see how each of these giants turns steel, rubber, and some brilliant engineering into cold, hard cash. And trust me, this is where you really start to see how different they are. So you've got two completely different game plans here. On one side, Caterpillar is a pricing powerhouse. What that means is because their brand is so dominant, they pretty much get to set the prices. That gives them this incredible financial cushion. Then you've got Terex. They're what we call a cyclical adapter. Their fortunes are tied much more closely to the boom and bust of the construction cycle, so they have to be way more agile, constantly adjusting to survive. And you know, the numbers don't lie. Just look at this. In their main businesses, for every $100 of stuff they sell, Caterpillar gets to stick almost $19 in its pocket as profit. Terex, just $5. That is a massive, massive difference. It all comes back to Cat's ability to hold its prices firm while Terex has to react to the market. And here it is. This is Caterpillar's superpower. A $51 billion order backlog. To put that in perspective, that's like having almost an entire year's worth of sales already booked. It's guaranteed. This thing is a giant financial shock absorber. It means they can sleep well at night, knowing they have a steady stream of work no matter what the economy does tomorrow. You know, one of our analyst reports at HDIN Research put it perfectly. It said, Cat is in the safe zone. Tex is in the caution zone. And that's exactly right. With all its cash, its top-tier credit rating, and that monster backlog, Caterpillar is about as safe as it gets. Terex, with its new acquisitions and more debt, they're in the caution zone. It's not that they're in trouble, not at all. It's just they've got less wiggle room. Okay, so we know Cat keeps more money from each sale, but that's only part of the story. The next question is who's actually better at squeezing every last drop of performance out of their factories, their people, and their inventory? To figure that out, we're going to break out one of my favorite tools for looking under the hood, the DuPont Analysis. I know, a table with numbers can look a little intimidating, but stick with me, this is actually pretty simple. It just breaks down how a company performs into three key moves. First, profit margin. That's how much you keep from each sale. Cat wins there big time. Second, asset turnover. That's how fast you sell all the stuff in your factory. And guess what? Terex is actually faster here. And third, equity multiplier, which is just a fancy way of saying how much debt you're using to boost your results. Think of it like a turbocharger for your engine. And when you put those three things together, boom, this is the final score. It's called return on equity. And the result is absolutely staggering. For every single dollar that shareholders have invested in the company, Caterpillar generates over 41 cents of profit. Terex, about 10.5 cents. That means Cat is literally 4 times more effective at turning its investors' money into more money. Now hold on, you're probably looking at that last number for Cat, the equity multiplier, and thinking, whoa, that's a lot of debt, isn't that risky? And normally you'd be right, but here's the twist. For Caterpillar, that leverage isn't a bug, it's a feature. A giant piece of that is their own in-house bank, Cat Financial, that helps customers buy their machines. It's a very smart, very profitable part of their business. But hey, let's give credit where credit is due. That higher asset turnover for Terex is a big deal. It proves their leaner, lighter business model is working. They don't have all the super heavy iron that Caterpillar does, which means they can generate more sales from a smaller footprint. They are, quite simply, faster on their feet. All right, that's the story of today, but investing is all about tomorrow. It's a bet on the future. So, where are these two giants placing their chips for the next decade? Let's look at what they're spending their big bucks on. Caterpillar's strategy is what I call going deep. They've got this thing called the ACE strategy: autonomy, connectivity, and electrification. They're pouring billions into making their already dominant machines self-driving, fully connected to the cloud, and electric. They're not trying to be a different company. They're trying to use technology to build an even deeper moat around their castle. And Terex? Well, they're doing the polar opposite. They're going wide. This is a radical pivot. They're buying their way into totally different businesses. We're talking garbage trucks, ambulances, fire trucks. This isn't just a small change. They are actively trying to change their very DNA to become a much more stable, diversified company that isn't just about construction. So we've looked at the profit plans, we've checked under the hood of the efficiency engines, and we've seen their bets on the future. It is time to bring it all together. It's scorecard time. Let's break this down head to head. When it comes to cost structure, who makes more money per sale? It's all Caterpillar with those rock-solid margins. But in asset utilization, who uses their stuff more efficiently? Terex gets the win there with its lighter model. Strategy? Cat is all about investing in its own tech, while Terex is on a shopping spree. And for the supply chain, it's Cat's unbeatable global scale versus Terex's flexibility. So, for our first award, drumroll, the title of Industry Cost Leader has to go to Caterpillar. I mean, it's not even close. Their scale, their brand power, it puts them in a league of their own when it comes to profitability. But don't count Terex out. They get a prize too. For their incredibly gutsy, bold move to completely reinvent themselves, we're calling them the Smart Transformation Pioneer. It is a high-wire act, for sure, but it's a fascinating and really intelligent strategy. So here's the bottom line. We've laid out the facts, we've crunched the numbers, and crowned the champions in their respective categories. But what you do with this information, well, that comes down to what kind of investor you are. And it all boils down to this one final question. Do you bet on methodical evolution, the slow, steady, powerful march of the incumbent, Caterpillar? Or do you bet on radical revolution, the high-stakes, game-changing pivot that Terex is trying to pull off? There's no single right answer. The choice is yours. Now, if this is the kind of deep dive you love and you want the full-blown research reports that we base this on, you can always hit us up at HDIN Research. Thanks for tuning in.